Hey, all right, we're on. Hello, everyone, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to our virtual event, Exploring the World of Multicultural Marketing. My name is Evelyn Brito. I'm the executive producer and writer of Bodega Makeover. I'm also an alumni of Los Angeles Film School, graduated in 2000 and not gonna say. Thank you all for joining us. We have an amazing and talented guest with us today. So before we get into the event, if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to put them in the chat and we'll try to get to them, as quick as possible. Without further ado, let me introduce our panelists or our guests. For the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and read Jessica's condensed bio, but you can read her full bio at the YouTube event description. So here you go. Jessica is a director of multicultural marketing at HBO Max and HBO, working across HBO portfolio, responsible for strategic and creative oversight of targeted marketing efforts and business initiative to the network's Latino audiences. This includes HBO, HBO Latino, and all HBO digital platforms. Among the most recent accomplishments at HBO Max and HBO, Jessica led a successful HBO Max new audience initiative, Palante, an always-on social media platform to engage Latinx audience with the purpose of representing, celebrating, and empowering the community and ultimately driving retention, loyalty, and viewership growth. She also recently spearheaded the launch of Are You Listening? I love that series. A content series inspired by HBO award-winning series Habla, and Palante Promise, a way to support Latino creatives through partnership with Warner Media's 150. And in the past 3 years, she has also launched a Latino stand-up competition, a Latinx short competition, and New York School program bringing the arts to students of color. Wonderful. Welcome, Jessica.
Seems like I've been doing a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Time to breathe. Welcome to our event. We're so excited for you to be here. But before we get started, let's loosen up a little bit. A little icebreaker. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, here we go. If you're home alone, maybe cleaning, taking a shower, or whatever, or listening, what is your dance song? What is it? What does that look like to you?
So my dance song is a Spanish song because I didn't know English until I went to pre-K. My first language is Spanish. So my go-to song for cleaning, being at home, just chilling is Juan Luis Guerra, Farolito. I mean, like we're gonna work out. We're gonna get hype and we're gonna work out. And Juan Luis Guerra is a legend, a Dominican god to us.
Yes.
So it's Juan Luis Farolito.
Oh, that is so good. I saw the one in the HBO, the documentary.
One of my favorite.
Beautiful. For me, I love Fefita. Anything Fefita, I would dance to it.
You're a true Dominican girl.
I'm a true Dominican country. Fefita all the way, especially when she screams. Oh my God, it's amazing.
She's so extra, that
one. So which actor or actress would play you in your life story?
All right, listen, I have no idea because I want to say I have a basic life and actors don't have, they're not basic. Mm-hmm. But if someone, could play, I mean, it's J-Lo. I mean, she's like, a dancer. And yo bailo un chin, yo le tiro los pasitos, right? Yeah. She's awesome. And so her, but no idea. I kind of was just, I really thought about this question. I got to 0. So J-Lo.
J-Lo. J-Lo's good. J-Lo's a good one, she's doing amazing things. I love J-Lo. So now finish the sentence. I'm a marketer because
I am a marketer because I'm passionate about my community. Right. And so I should say I am a multicultural marketer, right? Yeah. Because I am passionate about my community. So I think I was blessed to land a role in multicultural marketing over 12 years ago. But I've been doing that. And so every day I get to market great programming and elevate great programming to the multicultural audience. And that's just a thing of a beauty. But I think it's because I want to give back to my community since forever. So that's why I'm.
I love that. I mean, yeah, I mean, just looking at your, reading your bio, you know, you have different roles over the course of your career. What would you say, what is multicultural marketing? Why not marketing? What the multicultural part?
Yeah. So the multicultural part is the nuance part, right?
Yeah.
Is the targeted part, is the inclusive part, is the intentional part, right? So yes, you can do marketing, general market, where you're just like, everybody that likes movies. Okay.
Right.
Or you can do my job, which is multicultural marketing, which is um, Latina women who have kids who like this kind of film. And so you get really intentional with how you talk to that person, right? Because how you talk to a mother is very different than how you talk to a football lover, right? Or a, fanatic of cooking show, right? So it's a very intentional and targeted, which makes it a very customized experience. And so my job is essentially to create customized experience that this targeted audience will enjoy, which brings it back to enjoying the programming, which brings it back to signing up to HBO Max, which is ultimately the goal, right? So that's
Right, right. With that, what about if somebody says, I mean, when I explained to somebody, I said multicultural marketing, they would say, well, is that part of D&I?
It's not. It's not part of DNI. DNI is a little bit, there's two parts of DNI. And so DNI is either internally, so employees, right? So making sure that there's diversity and inclusion within our employees, right? So that the
Right.
people making the content, working and marketing the content are representative of the world, right? So that they have perspective and bring in different ideas, right? So that's a little bit more D&I, or it's social responsibility, right? So where it's like give back programs, or we give grants or community service, and we do that outreach to different audiences that are at a disadvantage, and that's for everything. So that's disability, that's LGBTQ,
Right.
and then that is also multicultural. So it's African American and Latino and Asian.
Mhm.
But that's that marketing. Multicultural marketing is the marketing and promotion of a show, right? So for example, I remember our first kind of like um, marketing was for Boardwalk Empire. And so the general market poster had Martin Scorsese on it because he was part of it, right? That's not going to resonate with an AA audience. So
Mhm.
we pivoted, and who we had was Michael K. Williams on our QR, because guess what? Michael K. Williams resonates much better with a multicultural audience. And so you're still talking about the same show. You're just
Mhm.
talking about it differently to different audiences.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you for telling you the difference between the two, because oftentimes people think, well, there's not a lot of diversity in, in these channels, they need to do some diversity and marketing on this, like, wait, what? I think that's a
That
different title.
and listen, it's I think I've been here for a little bit of time, and
Yeah.
I've seen the growth, and how it's a very different place now. Not that Warner Media, Time Warner, I come from the Time Warner era. That was a long time ago. Then it
Yeah.
was Warner Media, has always been a supporter of DNI, of community. We give back a lot of money, and we've always been intentional. But I think in my department, multicultural marketing, which is a very unique department, not a lot of big companies have it, right? Was created that long time ago. So we've always had a been at the forefront of culture and of really talking, communicating to our audiences, because they should be talked to every day, not just for Black History Month, not just for Latino History Month. And then at October 16, I am not Latina anymore. We knew from the very beginning that we cannot just talk to this audience 1 month and then forget about them until the next year. So we've always been very intentional, and as a company, we've tried to be very intentional and inclusive.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I wake up being a Latina, so I think, you know, I don't think it's going to change. What are some of your favorite campaigns you worked on HBO?
I mean, I have done a lot of campaigns, and so when you say campaigns, just so to explain a little, um, I have a unique role in that I basically come up with really funky stuff. Um, I have a little bit more wiggle room in the creative things that I can do with the Latino talent, because they're eager and excited to be part of such an amazing network. Imagínate, HBO is it's a premium network, right? And so they're excited, and we're excited to have them. So we've done things where we've taken over Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty and had an event there for our program Habla. It was for Habla y Vota. And it was beautiful because that's where people first came when they immigrated to the United States. And, we took over the museum in the bottom and really elevated it with Latino stories, right? And then we had a nice, beautiful screening in that space to celebrate that our vote mattered, and that, we had to push, we had to get out and vote, and the importance and the different issues that were important to us. So that um, event will always be a highlight for me. We did a beautiful bus tour for Victor Manuel, and what we did is really dope. We had this double decker where one of the side is open. It's almost like this musical thing that they do downtown. So what we did is we drove through the birthplace of salsa, and Victor Manuel was on the bus, and we had performances where you would stop, and we'd stop at a corner and in front of the Apollo, and we had two Latino performers dancing there. We keep driving and stop by the first Puerto Rican library that housed whatever, and we had a rapper do a rap on something. So it was an interactive tour that basically showed the birthplace of salsa, and then we ended downtown and midtown in a salsa club, right? So like it's creating those experiences. So we had press inside. Victor Manuel was in there. He started singing. We had karaoke, the whole 9 yards. Um, it's those types of experiences that people still talk about. We had our House of Bachata event that we had Bachata pop up in Washington Heights, where we talked about the history of bachata, which was, it comes from a marginalized country. As you know, we're both Dominicanas, right? It was music for black and poor people. And now Romeo Santos has elevated that. So we had documentary screenings, we had instrument playing with kids. A lot of our kids don't know what a tambora is because they don't go to DR as much, right? So we had a lot of community events. We had poetry night. We had haircut and rizos curls that we were doing for the community. It was all sponsored by Presidente. We had a museum experience and worked with the city, with CUNY, to provide like artifacts of like, the first key art of like the first bachatero that happened, right? So those are the type of immersive experience that we create for the community. And in turn, people go watch the documentary and the ratings are high. Those are just three of like the thousands that I've done, but those three are really big ones that I've created.
Right. Yeah, I think that it makes sense because you're going into the heart of that community. That whole salsa tour. I mean, my goodness, like
It was so
I
nice.
probably would have wish I was a fly in that bus or something. That's just, and I always go back to like when it comes to the bodega, when I was doing the makeover, you can't just put in fruits and vegetables in bodegas and expect it to sell. You have to find out what the community wants and what the community needs. So doing a survey and finding out, okay, they don't want fruits and vegetables here. They want smoothies and healthy sandwiches. Okay, that's what we do,
Yeah.
I mean,
So, and that's why it's important to be attuned to what the community wants. So whether it's from experience, from literally WhatsApping my friends, hey guys, have you heard of this artist? Or hey guys, what's a good spot in the Heights? Right? It's like things like that. And then they'll be like, oh my God, you gotta go to this place. And I go and check it out and see what's around. But you need to be attuned to what's happening in the community in order to make those decisions, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. Okay, so now that we got to learn a little bit about your role, I want to play a clip from one of the biggest campaigns that HBO has launched, Palante. Tyler, play the clip.
There's no person that is ever going to make you more worthy than you already are.
It's a new America for Latinos.
We need to be very cognizant of all of that diversity that comprises the Latino experience.
The point is to get the whole story, and from that, something new can spring.
You have a voice that the world needs to hear.
It's our time.
We belong.
Bienvenidos a la casa.
This is a special place.
Something quite original.
I love this song, man.
These are the real survivor stories you don't get to hear.
You can be fully one thing and fully another.
Es bien importante de que se nos dé la oportunidad para nosotros poder ser dueños de nuestra narrativa.
Yes.
I love that spot. It's one of my favorite spots.
I played that like 5 times.
It gets you all like, yes!
That's what I'm talking about. So explain what Palante means to someone that never heard of it before.
So the definition of Palante just is really literally forward, right? And we wanted to come up. So Palante is a social first audience initiative that's targeted to the Latino and Latinx community that really elevates in front of the camera and behind the camera talent and highlights programming that resonates with Latinos and not necessarily just Spanish stuff, right? So anything that has a high penetration, meaning Curb Your Enthusiasm, believe it or not, a lot of Latinos watch that. Friends, a lot of Latinos watch that. So we elevate things like that, but we elevate concerts, Juan Luis Guerra, Romeo, comedy, that's mainly in English, but it's from a Latino perspective. So we elevate premium content that Latinos like, right? Because we like everything. So that's what we are. We are a social part of HBO Max, an extension. And then within, we cover all kinds. We cover all kinds of programming on the platform, but we really we do it as an editorial. We're not really trying to sell you stuff, but because the content is so engaging, you engage with it and then say, oh my God, that bite or that lift or that meme really resonates. What show is that from? And then the goal is you're gonna say, oh, let me go find it on HBO Max, right? So we are that almost that vehicle that should drive you to HBO Max, because we're creating engaging and editorial content for Latinos to get excited, right?
Yeah.
So
and not only that, and not only that, a lot of the programs that you guys have and market can be any Latino. Like I see myself there. It's not like where you're like, wait, there's nobody there that looks like me. And you get to a point where you're watching the videos like, wait a minute, that looks like my abuelita or my cousin or whatever. And I love that because I mean, that's important too, that you're representing not just one type of Latinos, that you see a lot in novelas, but you're representing everyone, Afro-Latinos especially. That's just super important. So how did it come about? How did Palante came about?
Well, we had HBO Latino before I got to HBO. So I think HBO Latino was launched in 2000, and it literally was a dubbed channel of HBO. So whatever they had on HBO, they turned it into Spanish for HBO Latino. Okay. Believe it or not, we were the first company, the first premium channel to do that, right? Like there was either la película super cheesy in español, or you had to watch it in English. So someone was like, oh, Latinos watch a lot of content, let's dub it. Definitely around 2008 is when we were like, well, I wasn't there yet, but someone was like, we should create original content because Latinos not only watch dub stuff. And that's when we created our first Habla, which is a straight to camera documentary style. The first time that really anyone was putting Latinos in front of a camera to talk about their experience as US Latinos. Right. And that kind of was the launch pad of that. So we've been at this game for many years. HBO Max Palante is just a rebrand, right? It's we got to get fresh for the kids nowadays, right? And so you kind of have to like stay out, like I'm the oldest in my team. And I'm like, guys, go out there and get the research. Tell me what the cool kids are doing, what the TikTokers are doing, right? But it was really just a revamp, right? So we've been talking to this audience for a very long time. We've been engaged with this community and our partners for a very long time. But we just rebranded as HBO Max Palante, right? And so, it was about a place where really you can talk to the ambicultural, multi-hyphenated Latino. It was no longer the Latino that only spoke Spanish, the Latino that was from Latin America. We were talking to kids that are mainly mixed. A lot of our multicultural Latinos are mixed with Latino, right? Mm-hmm. Latino and Black, Latino and Asian, Latino and white, like it's un mishmash que hay. We want to talk to that person that's a 200%. They're not 100, they're not 50% Latino and 50%, American. They're like 200%. They're 100% Latino, but they're 100% American, right? So we needed a space to talk to those folks in English and Spanish and bilingual with curb, with Romeo, like super bachata and super curb, like a Jewish white guy who is funny as can be and relatable. That content resonates with Latinos. So we needed a space for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about mix, my son is half Jamaican, half Dominican, half Jamaican. So I call him my reggaeton. Literally, that's what he is. He's reggaeton, right?
I love it.
I love that because, it does speaks to, not just, 100% Latino, but you also are half where you want to sort of embrace that part of you too. Mm-hmm. I think that's super important. And with the whole HBO Latino and the whole thing that's happening right now with the word Latinx, it was from from Hispanic to Latinos to Latinx. Is there a plan in the future for HBO Latino to change? I don't know if is that a conversation given sort of the times that we are right now with the whole
name? So technically HBO Latino on social, right? Because I deal with the social. HBO Latino on social was rebranded into HBO Max Palante. There is no HBO Latino on social anymore, right? We kind of were like, we'll go with the times and be non-binary and not identified. So we respect everyone's opinion. I always say Latino, Latinx. But as a company, I think we're still on like Hispanic Latino. But HBO Latino per se on social is no longer. It has converted to HBO Max Palante, or one day it will just be Palante and people know that it's part of HBO Max. That's my big job here. On linear, HBO Latino, the channel still exists, right? So it is something that when you flip to HBO, HBO 2, HBO Comedy, HBO Signature, Dios mío, there is HBO Latino. Yes. Because that, that's still, we still have channels, right? But as a company, I think, we try to be pleasing to everyone, which is very hard. But we're a big corporation, so that's when you don't have the liberty to piss off your customers, right? So you have to play this delicate balance, a delicate dance. On our social, on Palante, we either use Latino or Latinx. We kind of use it back and forth.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a touchy kind of subject because, some people just they won't even say they're Latinx or Hispanic. They're just like, I'm Dominican. Like, that's it, There's no Latinx.
But it's funny because so Are You Listening? We did a whole topic on that, right? Are You Listening content franchise. And it was a very interesting conversation because it is a true divide in the middle, right? So we had someone who's like, I just say I'm Dominican Black, right? Someone was like, I identify as Latina, right? Because that's how I feel. So like everyone had like a POV, but the point of that specific conversation was, are we listening to each other? And we should just accept whatever someone else wants to be called. At the end of the day, we're all humans, right? So that was the bigger conversation of like, sure, you want to be called this or that, ¿qué importa? As long as we're respectful of whatever that thing is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a question that came in. Says, are there any types of marketing strategies that you would avoid based on experience? Ooh. Avoid.
I think that depends. And I think it's, if you're going to jump on a trend, but not really understand the impact, then you need to either avoid or like take a pause and investigate it. I.e., these unboxings right now are ridiculous. These influencers are getting paid a lot of money. I know because I pay them to literally open a box. So to me, I now tell my team I don't want to do any unboxing, right? And it's just because the time for that it's run its gamut. So I tell my agencies, I need you to 2.0 it. Like, what's the next step of, it's not an unboxing, so it's still a box, still a gift, but how do you 2.0 it? I think in general, to stay relevant, you have to stay ahead of the trend. So if you're trying to catch up to the trend, that's a strategy you should pause and think on, because you're gonna feel silly if you're jumping on a trend as opposed to like being in front of the trend. So that's just, and unboxing is just an example, because I'm so over unboxing videos, and I think I don't know that they do much for an entertainment brand.
Maybe what is that unboxing? What does that mean? So, what is like example?
Let me explain to you, my friend.
Explain, por favor.
El dinero that these influencers are making. Let me tell you.
Okay.
We create a box. I have about 17 of them in my house because we make a lot of boxes. So we create a box, and inside the box, it's goodies. It's like a free this and a free that. And we basically pay influencers to, kid you not, to open and be like, oh my God, look at this notebook that I got. It's like purple. And Dios mío, this water from France. Like, and we pay them to basically go in and be like, this, like, girl, what are we doing out here? We pay them a lot of money too. We pay them for their reach and their influence, and that because someone's going to see it and say, oh my God, I love Evelyn. I'm going to go buy that purple notebook, right? But there's no real return on investment there, right? So you just have to be mindful as an entertainment brand, did this correlate to this person, to Evelyn? You saw me, now you're going to go and buy HBO Max because I told you, oh my God, this notebook and this show is amazing. So that's what unboxing is. And companies pay a lot of money for people to open a box.
What you need to do is get an abuelita to do it.
Yes, but the issue with the abuelita doesn't have the social reach. You see? So an abuelita, listen, you're onto something, because it could be an influencer's abuelita. Right? So you sit abuelita next to, I'm making this up, J-Lo. You're like, J-Lo, have your grandma open this box, because it's an abuelita and it's so endearing and you trust abuelitas, right? Might be like, heck yeah. Because of J-Lo's reach, she's going to make sure that all these people see it. But it's abuelita who's going to push the final push to make people buy it. Right. Even though anything J-Lo puts up, we buy. Olvídate. He's like, me puse esto, pónganselo, $1 billion, right? Like,
I'm buying it. Okay, J-Lo, just because your abuelita says so, I'm going to buy it.
Essentially.
I'll buy anything that has abuelita. I think that's just amazing. We have to respect our elders. I love it. So about content, where do they look for content? Is it more US based? Is it more non-US? What's the percentage of?
So I don't buy content, right? My job is to just do what I can with what we get, right? But we get a lot of our content from international, right? So HBO Max Latam is now a platform. And so they make local content and acquire local content, which comes to US también.
Okay.
We make a lot of content, meaning we tell studios, let's make this movie, and it gets made. We also do a lot of we go to a lot of festivals, and we buy, we do the festival run, and we buy films from different festivals. We have a lot of baked in deals. Like I know we announced a deal with Salma Hayek, right? At some point, that content will start coming in, and it's produced by Salma Hayek's company. So, and that's not one, right? That's we bought a bunch of things from Salma Hayek. Just again, I don't know why J-Lo's all part of this conversation, but J-Lo's deal with Netflix, right? So now Netflix is getting a lot of content from J-Lo's production company. So, it's different types of deals that are happening over kind of on the LA side, but it's festivals, it's things that are already out there. It's things that we're saying, hey, can you make this? It's stuff from international. We have to diversify the portfolio. If you put all your eggs in one basket and something happens to that basket, then you have nothing. So you have to diversify the portfolio.
That makes sense. So what's the content different from Apple TV and companies like Pantalla that offers?
Well, I mean, HBO Max in general is just, we have scale, right? We have the entire HBO library, which comes with a very, many years of creating content, right? So we have all those amazing, basically it's like HBO y lo pusieron adentro de HBO Max, right? Mm-hmm. So we can count on that legacy content, and then HBO Max is a new child out here, but they're making a lot of content, and a lot of that content between HBO and HBO Max is very multicultural, right? We understand that we have to, for any streaming service to be successful, they need the multicultural audience. So they have to cater to making content that's young, that's diverse, and that multicultural audiences will come and watch. So, Pantalla is, very Spanish, Latino films, and that's all they do, and that's their bread and butter. Apple, you said Apple TV was the question? Apple TV, yeah. I mean, they're Apple. They're Apple. They don't play in the aggregate. So they make don't quote me on this, 7 really good, huge films. Mm-hmm. We get 45, really, we have content. So it's just a difference in that. Some are more we're just going to have really big heavy hitters, and that's amazing. And some of them, Netflix, outbuys all of us type thing. So HBO, for me, HBO Max almost sits in the middle of we do more than 7. We don't do 450. We're in that middle of the ballpark, and we try to have premium, of course, a little bit of everything for everyone. Mm-hmm. Right? So we have Selena and Chef, which is cooking. We have Craftopia, which is art making. We have series, documentaries. We have un poquito de todo. Yes. So you really could go in there and find something that resonates with you at all times.
Yeah. There's definitely a difference between the three. I mean, Pantalla, if I want to go see a Dominican film, I will go to Pantalla. And if I want to see something, with a lot of culture and a lot of soul, I would go to HBO. So I definitely can see the difference. So let's transition.
And listen, we got Dominican films too, boo. We got Dominican films.
No, I know, I've noticed that. I was like, wait a minute, hold up.
You can go to HBO Max, y ahí hay película de México, de Santo Domingo, de Chile. We got a little bit of everything for everybody.
Yep, I just discovered that a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh my God, what? But my favorite was the Luis Guerra one. I just think it's
First of all, you just literally want to take a flight to DR to be on the beach. I kid you not, with a with a presidente on you, with a cold presidente in your hand. That's what that concert film documentary, that's what it really does.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, I can't wait to go. Okay, I have another question here.
Yeah.
Okay, it says, I'm a new student and I'm a writer in the process of making short film. Do you have any suggestions on how to market my project with little to no budget?
That's a tough one because money is king, right? But I think you have to get creative. I think finding a madrina, as I call it, right? Someone in the industry who really vouches for you, who really kind of like supports your work and is in rooms almost talking about you, like, hey, do you know this up and coming filmmaker? She's amazing. Like you need like that madrina of sorts. I think you could align yourself with an organization, right? So this is a perfect organization, like a film school that has connects, right? Who knows, I'm making this up. Maybe the CEO went to film school, or lo que sea. There's a networking situation that you can do. Networking is super key. I'm an introvert, so that does not work for me very well, but it is a function that actually works, like going to different tastemaker events, filmmaker events, being part of different organizations where you get to be invited to those. That's the perfect opportunity to say, hi, my name is Jessica. I am an up and coming Latino or, diverse filmmaker. Everyone is looking for diverse filmmakers. So we are in a very special place right now where nos estamos aprovechando de que there is a need for diverse storytellers. This is your opportunity, but you have to be in those rooms. You have to go out and shake hands and kiss babies. You have to be your biggest advocate. You have to go out there with confident. You can't be like, oh, well, no, yo me llamo Jessica, yo estoy haciendo una película, está buenísima. You sell it like it is the last piece of bread, right? Like you have to do that, but you have to be in those rooms and network. You have to be professional. You have to be put together. You have to have your portfolio. If someone is like, hi, and I'm like, oh, what's your website, your portfolio? Oh, I don't have one. That's an absolute no. There are dozens of people who are working super hard. You should be as prepared as possible to have portfolios, resume, types of work, referrals. Like that should just be like in your back pocket. If you got caught in an elevator with me and you had to pitch me your movie, you should have your elevator pitch locked and loaded, right? You only get a first impression once. So it's just about being prepared, right? And the opportunities come. You have to be comfortable with hearing the word no. There's a lot of no's in this industry, but a no here could be a yes there. So you can't get discouraged or this is not the business for you.
Absolutely. You would get a lot of, just love the no. Wake up and say, yes, I love the no's, just gotta embrace it because you gotta hear a lot of that for sure. It's very good advice. Yep. So let's transition a little bit. I remember like probably more than 6 years ago when I got the idea for Bodega Makeover and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just pitch this, I'm going to go to Hollywood. I'm going to package this. I'm going to go to the Nalit program and they're just going to love it. Just going to eat it up. Right. I thought I was just going to come home with like a champion. Right. So, and I do the pitch tables, and they loved it. They just thought it was too wholesome. They wanted like a novela with bodega, and I left out of there like feeling like, wow, nobody really understood my culture or my, my cultural background or bodegas in general. Yeah. So have you ever had experience when you pitched, to a group of like in your field in marketing, where you felt like no one understood your Pacific culture perspective, and how did you handle that? Because I left out of there in tears.
Yeah. So yes and no. So no, because I work in multicultural marketing. A lot of people don't know, upper, like allá arriba, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know Juan Luis Guerra from this guy, right? But they trust us because we're an expert team. So they have to go with the flow. So my direct upper management obviously understand this because we're a group of multicultural marketing, right? So we have a little bit of, tengamos el sentido de, oh, esa persona sí es importante, let's do this, let's do that. But what I would say is, to that point, I remember, like it was yesterday, I remember I was in a boardroom and I was super excited about presenting Romeo Santos. Now, Romeo Santos is king in our code, like El Rey Supremo. And no, we were like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, oh. And at some point someone said, oh, didn't Usher do a song with him? And I was like, first of all, I was like, no, it's the other way around. Like I was so offended, right? Because I'm like, how could you not, this man has sold out, stadiums that white people have not, right? This man has 7 million followers on social, like to me it was like, ¿Cómo que no entienden? ¿Cómo que no entienden? So it was very frustrating. But what you have to do is you have to take a step back and say, no es culpa de ellos, they don't know any better. And I almost had to be like, well, let me tell you, Romeo Santos is the king of bachata. There are about, 7 million Dominicans in the United. Like I had to be like, this is why this is important and we should do this. And at that point became, oh, that's amazing. And go with God, right? But I had to not get all like, what do you mean? You don't know who this is. And almost take a step back and come to them with data they understand, numbers they understand, the impact of one person sending one post or saying, go watch my documentary. That's impactful. The fact that they didn't know who he was, at the end of the day, we're all in business. We're here to make business moves, right? So to me, it was important to explain it, and it was frustrating to explain it. But because we're deemed as a center of excellence, they understand that our POV is a POV that comes with expertise. And so it was easier to get through on that.
I wish I had that advice going in when I was switching. Why? What do you mean? It's very heartbroken. But no, it's true that data does talk, tells the story. Yeah. And I learned that quickly when I was doing the bodega. I said, hey, listen, this is food desert. This is the effect of food insecurity. And if you fix this bodega, this could happen. Yeah. So doing that research is very important. Yeah. So this is probably a question that probably would be great for a student. So how did you get your foot in the door in multicultural marketing? How did it all start?
Where did it all start? In 1980, I was born in New York City.
In the 80s?
I am. Yo soy una viejita.
80s baby.
I'm an 80s baby. No, so I was an intern in so I've only had corporate jobs. All I ever wanted to work was at the Gap, but the Gap didn't want to hire me. So I got stuck in corporate America. And I came from the magazine world. So my first job ever as a 17-year-old was in Entertainment Weekly magazine. And so I've been a Time Warner baby for a really, really long time. And so from that one, every year, every summer, every spring break, I would continue to come back to Time Warner, different things, right? And so from there, I was basically inside entertainment, because magazine was entertainment. We all know what is happening to magazines. And so, I at some point was not in magazines anymore. Ended up at HBO doing sports. So I did a lot of boxing marketing promotions, I love boxing. I mean, Latinos love boxing. And so we did a lot of that. I used to go to Vegas. Oh, it was the good times, Evelyn. And I used to do AA for a little bit. And so, that happened. And then eventually I was moved over to only Latino, and I still did sports, obviously. But I came from the magazine world and kind of used those skills that was still entertainment and transfer them into TV, and then super custom for multicultural. So that's how I got into this entertainment world.
So yeah, there's so many doors that people can try, oftentimes, especially film students, they go in thinking, oh, I'm going to come out to be this director or producer or writer, but you really don't. In real life, you don't start that way. You have to start in somewhere, and eventually you would discover who you are and where you fit into the industry. Maybe it's not directing, maybe it's in marketing, maybe it's in advertising, maybe it's in someplace else within the industry. There's so many doors and so many opportunities, not just directing and producing.
Yeah, and I think thank God for the internet, right? Because you can Google anything, literally, right? And so back in my days, I mean, first of all, I landed in I was a part of a mentoring program, which is why I'm big into mentoring. And my mentor was an assistant at Time magazine in the photography department. So that's how I first got into the building. I had this, I still have this mentor. She's like my second mom. And that's how I was this little sixth grader in this ginormous building. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And she was the assistant to the head of photography of Time magazine. Now we're talking about Time magazine, like classic, right? And so that was what opened my eyes. But I didn't have, computers back then. You couldn't be like, Google, what is photography and head? Like, how do you get to be the head of photography or magazine? Where I feel like nowadays, the youth and the kids, they have the internet at their fingertips and they can Google all kinds of jobs, right? When I grew up, you were a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, police officer. Like, it was like, that's it. My mom still doesn't know what I do. She thinks she's like, ay, tú para los Grammy y tú vas a salir en el carpet. Mami, yo no salgo en los carpet. Sí, mi hija que trabaja para HBO, ella está en las películas. Mami, yo no estoy en la película. Like, she doesn't understand it.
That's so sweet.
She doesn't. And so, the kids now have the ability to say, what are some transferable skills that I can gain maybe coming through this door that could land me in the same very place that I want to end up, but I'm just entering through a different door, right? The issue becomes if you enter a door that doesn't have the transferable skills, and now you just wasted time. Like, time is ticking and time is money, right? And so now you're here doing this thing that's not going to gain you any skills that you can now take into producer, a DP, art director, like whatever that role is. So it's at the fingertips. You can Google anything. You can reach out to anyone. And let me tell you, don't do it to me because I'm too busy. But if you reach out to executives and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, I'm a student at here, and I've read your profile, I follow whatever, I would love 30 minutes of your time to just understand your journey. 9 out of 10 times they will not say no. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that they will not say no. You just have to do your due diligence, understand who this person is, and have a genuine conversation about like, how did you get there? 9 out of 10 times they will not say no, but people are too scared to do it.
Yes, I think that's definitely a challenge. And using a platform like LinkedIn, you can look at those executives and see what they, what connections. I've oftentimes go to LinkedIn. I was like, hey, I'm connected to this person. This person's connected to this person,
Literally. I mean, LinkedIn is, again, back in the days, no había LinkedIn.
Right?
So,
el Rolodex. So that was LinkedIn.
So the card, I kid you not, I had a Rolodex. There were business cards. We don't even have business cards now. Like,
did you staple the business card on the thing?
Yes, girl. Yes.
So you won't lose it? I want to staple them. That's classic. Oh my God, I'm aging myself.
We are out here aging ourselves. Bueno.
Next question.
Yes,
next. What is so we're going to the end of this virtual event, and so I have some questions on, as far as, of course, what advice would you give a student that want to explore the multicultural marketing world, or just the entertainment world, or just HBO? What advice would you?
So I've dropped a lot of gems. So whoever's listening, I hope you caught some of those gems because I'm dropping gems. Ide gratis. I'm not charging.
Free.
So no, I think, listen, you have to be passionate. Passion comes with it. If you wake up and go to a job that you're like, oh, don't get trabajar, right? Like that's draining. I think what we've learned from COVID is that life is too short. That's why there's the mass exodus. Like people are quitting left and right because their jobs don't bring them joy, right? And sometimes you just gotta pay the bills, and I understand it. But know that this is what you want to do. If not, it's okay. Move on to something else. But don't spend the time and energy doing something that doesn't make your heart happy, right? That's the first thing. Second, just be prepared. Like I feel like a lot of these kids take a lot of things for granted, i.e., the internet. Like we didn't have the internet, guys. So I think it's about being prepared. Being ready to work. People say they want to work, and then you put them to work, and then they don't want to work, right? So just being ready to work, being prepared, being passionate, being your authentic self. Like no one can copy you. You are unique. And if you show up that way, you don't have to fake it every day. It's very tiring to like fake who you are at work. So don't do it, because you're going to have to one day be authentic and show up as a true self, right? So I would say that. And then be ready for the hard no's. It's a hard industry. These jobs, people don't leave them because they're fun, right? Like I have a awesome job. I get to like literally, right now we're looking at 5 college students that we're gonna give grants to because they're a community leader and activist. I do that. I give back to the community. I put on red carpet events where famous people come. I elevate comedians. I created a competition show because there's not enough Latinos in comedy, right? So it's like, why not make a space? So people don't leave these jobs. So it's really it's really hard to get it because people don't leave. My boss, before she left, and she just left, was here for 27 years. 27 years in the same company doing multicultural marketing, right? Like that's big. So those are just a few of the tidbits, but the whole conversation, I've been dropping gems. So you take all of it and leverage it.
Yes, and this would be on the YouTube and also Facebook, so they can always go back to this and hear more gems and gems again. I think there's another question here. Can a student apply for that program? What
the program I mentioned is specifically for Hunter College students.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, okay.
And only because believe it or not, we reached out to a bunch of universities, and that's the only one that responded in time.
Oh.
So that's what happened there. That's what happened there.
My goodness, some of them are probably okay, there's another one here. Does HBO does HBO have any open internship opportunities for students?
So we have a really dope internship program, and it happens spring, summer, fall. I think so. They're working on the spring right now, but submissions are due this Friday. So yes, if you got your shit ready, right? Like it's all about being ready, right? There's that, which ¿quién me lo mandó? Alguien me lo mandó el link. I'll put it, I'll put the link.
Okay.
I'll give you the link, which literally this Friday is the deadline. This Friday is the deadline.
It's Friday, so we can,
it's the deadline for that, but then there's also summer internships, right? So you just have to, we're in November technically, and we're doing spring. So probably like January, they start doing summer, right? That's the other thing, timing. Don't think you're going to get a summer job in the summer. Those kids have their jobs already. Like you have to like be right, ahead of that. But there are internships at HBO, and we treat our interns like very well. I'm always like, are they here to work or like what? So we really take we give them a summer project. They have mentors. They meet with like the top heads. Like we really are incubating our next employees, right? And so
in that pipeline,
we treat them, good, so they get in here and then we put them to work. No, but yes, there are internships. I'll put the spring one up.
okay.
That's due this Friday, and just go in, submit. You never know, right?
Never know.
And then the summer one, I don't have the link, but just keep looking at the Warner Media page, careers page, and that there it should be posted.
Awesome, thank you for that. So we're gonna do just the same thing we did in the beginning. We did an icebreaker, but I'm gonna just do one of the questions here. Finish this. My motto is, you can answer in English or in Spanish.
So I'm gonna say, I was interviewed for something else this morning, and I had to come up with my motto, and I was like, I only have it in Spanish. They're like, and of course, yeah, she was not Latina. She's like, no worries, I can translate it, and it was para atrás ni para coger impulso, right? Because I really do believe in Palante, right? And it's a forward movement, and it's like we're not going back. We gotta go, not even for like a coger el impulso para ir para adelante. We're always forward con la batalla, siempre adelante. That's my motto. Like we keep, and I'm a Dominican New Yorker. We keep things moving. We troubleshoot, we pivot, we keep it moving. But that's my motto. Para atrás ni para coger impulso.
Yeah, and keep up. If you can't keep up, then te voy a dejar.
Exactamente.
Well, this was an amazing discussion. Thank you so much for being here and dropping your gems. This is definitely an eye opener for me, as far as just getting sort of a sense of your world, and knowing the difference between multicultural marketing and diversity and inclusion in marketing. I don't know if that's such a thing, but I heard of it, so I just used it. But if you guys have any last minute questions, please send them. I think we're done with questions, right? Yeah.
I think we are. Yeah.
How can people find you?
Well, I am private on Instagram because that's too much. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Jessica Vargas. If you happen to find me on Instagram, I might accept you. Listen, there's a lot of people out there on social, so I'm a little old school in that. Like, I put my vargasjessica.com. No, let's do LinkedIn.
LinkedIn on.
Yeah, let's do the LinkedIn. I have to update my portfolio, which is really dope because I have all my recap videos there of all the amazing events that I've covered. But LinkedIn, I do talk to a lot of people on LinkedIn. If you must find me on Instagram, it's La Jefa Jessica. Just because.
La Jefa.
La Jefa Jessica.
That is so. I thought Fefita was ever. No, you took it to the next level.
Listen, that's what they call me, so I kind of stuck to it, right?
Yeah, might as well use it, right? Well, this was lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you LA Film School for putting this together. Yeah, and many more to come.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.